Hello, everyone, and welcome to the More Sugar Podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Calendar, and as always, thank you for tuning in to the show. So, what I'm going to do here is that we're going to start. I took a little break, so in taking breaks, I decided that this would be the start of season 2, and the next season is going to be about getting back to healing. So, the next episodes I wanted to serve as reminders to get back to healing. Um, as we lose and suffer loss, we tend to go about our regular lives like a chunk of our heart isn't missing. And as I was recording a video earlier with my son, my wife chimed in and reminded me that loss and losing things isn't always centered on grief. We lose friends, we lose jobs, we lose money, we lose apartments. Like, loss doesn't always necessarily mean the death of a person. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that. Suffering a loss and losing something isn't always centered around death. There are other losses that create grief. So, contrary to popular belief, some heartbreaks from loss they don't heal, right? And we just adapt to managing our life in pieces. There's no final destination to grief. Um, there's no set track. For example, someone dies, you be depressed, you go through a healing process, you heal, and you're done. That's not how it works. There's ebbs and flows in loss, right? And please be reminded that in those ebbs and flows, the highs and lows, you have to, it's like falling off of a surfboard. You have to keep remembering to get back on it. And that's what I wanted these next episodes to be, as a reminder to constantly please be to try to get back to healing. It's like sometimes we get off track, but that's something that we need to be reminded to stay focused on. And whatever healing looks different for everyone. So whatever that healing looks like for you, I just need you to stay on track. I'm not gonna say stay on track. I need you to try to remember to get back on track if you get off on track. Now, there's a popular Bible verse, Joshua 24:2, and the ending of the verse 15 goes, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." And I kind of put a twist on that. And as for me and my house, it was moving to the water. So when I my house, I mean, me, my wife, and my son. And my wife has suffered loss over the years as well as I have. I'm not the only person in this family that needed to heal and to get over a lot of losses. She's experienced some things as well. And so, with that being said, we knew collectively that it something wasn't working for us, right? And so oftentimes healing isn't just things that you do. Like, it's not meditating. It's more than just things that you do spiritually. It's also places you go and where you are physically, right? So I'm saying all that to say that as much emotional work as we've done with therapy, meditating, and things like that, prayer and things like that nature, um, I got to the point where I hated everything about going home. I hated going to work, dropping Jacks off to school, just everything that or everything that involved my physical location. And that's when I knew, well, we knew that New Jersey just wasn't providing the backdrop for bouncing back. So, like, see, that was like a word. Let me make sure y'all get into this and catch these gems, because one thing I'm not afraid to do, and that's toot my own horn. So sometimes I can go on and on, but I want you to catch like specific gems that are wrapped up in the podcast. I said the backdrop for bouncing back. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pause and kind of like inhale that. Make sure you have the proper backdrop for bouncing back. You can have an amazing therapist. You go to therapy, whether it's virtual or in person. You love your job, whether it's remote or you go in person. But sometimes your surroundings isn't conducive to your healing process. And that's what prompted us to decide, you know what? If you read the book, I hope you read the book, Sugar My Grits, Grief to Gratitude to Grace. When I speak of her, it wasn't just about my wife. It was about my love for the state of Virginia and the peace that it brought me during my depression and healing process. And so after I wrote the book and spoke so highly of my love for Virginia, in 2020, the book came out in June. And I don't know if I have any new listeners or not, but if you are a regular listener and you know me, my brother died a couple of months after I wrote the book. And just in May, honestly, I didn't mention it because I get so tired of speaking, even though God gives you an assignment. It doesn't mean that it's just like school. You're like, oh my God, like why me? But um, just May of this year, my uncle passed away as well, and I really, I didn't even say too much about it on social media. I didn't talk about it because I was just tired. I was exhausted from grief, and I didn't want to feel the feelings as usual. I'm still dealing with losing my brother, and when my uncle died, I'm like, I can't do this here anymore. And when I mean here, I meant physically in New Jersey. And so, my wife again has her things. She lost her sister, her cousin, a couple of years like right before my brother, and some friends in the pandemic who she called sister. So as much as we seem to have it together, we needed a better backdrop for healing. And so we just kind of rallied around that idea that, you know what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put um, our happiness first. And most people just kind of fall into the pattern of work and finances and making sure that everything appears to be well. And I just, I mean, we're great financially, but something wasn't, I needed to get to the water. And on every trip we needed to get to the water. And I hate to keep saying this relationship moves and stops according to my feelings, and it doesn't. So I want to say that a lot of times when I say it's safe to say that 80% of the time I mean my family. And my family, I mean my immediate family, like my wife and son. So a lot of times when I say I definitely mean us. And so we had just gotten to a point that, you know, we wanted to raise our son in a different environment. Like New Jersey is not a bad place, but we had come to the point in our life, you know what? Let's go to our sanctuary. And that was Virginia. And so the 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 last 2 months is what we've been doing. We moved to Virginia Beach, and we're getting settled in. Our son is settled into a new school, and he loves it. And we live 10 minutes from the beach, and we get to go and put our feet in the water and drop those everyday stressors and sometimes that grief. And also with moving our son and with being a calendar, that's a big thing. My family is known throughout Newark and known throughout the greater Newark area and New Jersey. And so I didn't want Jax, our son, to get lost in a legacy. I always speak about breaking generational curses and giving him these opportunities that I didn't have. I didn't want a cloud of a legacy hanging over him, whether it's good or bad. Now, I don't know, many of you know, everyone knows Anderson Cooper, and his mother actually is Gloria Vanderbilt. And as much money as she had, she didn't leave him a dime. Now, even I gasped like, oh, how you gonna be a millionaire and not leave your kid anything? But then but when I read her explanation, she wanted him to build something on his own. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going that far. I'm definitely leaving my son the millions that I make when I make it. See how I did that? I spoke life. I'm definitely leaving Jax. We are leaving our son our millions. We're building him a legacy. I didn't want him to get lost in a calendar legacy of what was already set in stone. He can build his own and make his own way. Hence why we started the J. Delano Publishing, um, jackscalendar.com. He draws. He wants to act. He wants to be on a stage. He wants to do so much. And so we needed to create a space for him to be able to decide who Jax wants to be outside of a calendar. Now, he's Jax Delano Calendar to the core. That's who he is, right? But he needed to step out on his own and decide what that looks like and not what that looked like for Uncle Irv and not what that looks like for Cousin Irv or not what that looked like for Grandpa Irv, who was the football star at West Side, and the cousin who's the basketball star at Montclair, or the uncle who was the football star at Shabazz, right? I don't want him to be in anyone's shadow. I want him to shine. I want him to be his to his his own star, and I'm loving that he's going to have like so many opportunities to do so. And so this was what we needed to do to get back to healing, and this is where we're going to grow in our space here, and I love it. And it's giving me the opportunity to do the podcast in a space where there can be video to go with the audio, and I'm pretty excited about that. So I started a YouTube channel, so tune into the More Sugar podcast on YouTube. And so what we're gonna do with the YouTube channel is we're gonna just tune into the YouTube channel. It's gonna be so much. If I put it in a box and say what it's going to be for, then everyone's going to be looking for that exclusively. But there's a lot of content creation that I'm going to be working on now that I have the space and the time, because getting back to healing for me was giving up so much responsibility at work. And that's what I did on the transition from New Jersey to Virginia. I gave up a lot of responsibility in order to devote time to my gifts. I am by trade a biomedical technician. I make stuff work in the hospitals. I fix things. I supervise people. I can supervise a team of people, but that isn't the gift that God put inside of me to give to the world. And so I was making my company a lot of money in New Jersey, but I wasn't focusing on the gift that God put inside of me to give the world. And I wasn't feeling fulfilled because of it. And so now that I'm here in Virginia, I'm not responsible for a big team anymore. I'm responsible for myself, which gives me more time to pour into myself and to pour into my son and to pour into my wife and to nurture the gift that God put inside of all of us as a family to give to the world and to create that legacy. And there's so many things that we have that we're working on that God said that this is your job to do. And it's hard, man. It's hard when God tell you something to do. He doesn't necessarily give you the blueprint on how to do it. He just tells you to get it done. But best believe the devil's gonna try to sidetrack you with dangle something in your face to try to get you off track from your purpose. My purpose was to heal and to share my experiences so other people can know how to navigate through their experiences. And I have so many things. I'm going to write a blog post. I'm going to be able, again, I'm going to have so much more time to get back to the things, the gifts that I'm required to share. And one of them was writing, and not just the book, but my blog, the A Calendar Girl blog. I'm going to start updating that more often. So check for that, the A Calendar Girl, www.acalendargirl.com. The More Sugar podcast. I'm going to try to record more episodes and bring in my wife. I've been begging her, and finally we have a space. She's like, I'm not coming on unless these people can see my face. So we finally have a space set up where we can record the podcasts with video. So her and I are gonna do a couple episodes, and Jax, he wants to do a couple episodes. And what I'm really, 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 really most excited about is he and I was randomly like walking to the pool recently. He said to me, he said, Mommy, you're a great writer. I said, thank you, son. And he said, I'm a great artist. And I said, yeah, that you are. He said, we should do a book together. And I said, you know what? That's an amazing idea. So we have like 20 things on the fire. And these are the gifts that we have burning inside that God put in us to share with the world. Can you imagine a book, or one with me and my wife we still have coming, that's almost completed, and one with me and Jax. That's amazing. He's gonna develop some characters. um I don't know if he's gonna be animated or what, but and then I'm going to write, and it's gonna just be the gifts that we share and heal the world with. And that's what our legacy is going to be. And then we still have Jack's www.jackscalendar.com. He has his. We're going to move some of. My wife's going to take over jackscalendar.com, and she's going to probably move some of his. What I want to say, I lost my train of thought. She has a new business venture coming out with that she's going to utilize. I don't want to say because I don't want to steal her thunder. I have a habit of stealing her thunder, but my wife's definitely going to take over jackscalendar.com, and she has some new things coming, where she's gonna update the site. But Jay Leno Publishing, he continues, even though his drawings are not on the publishing website, we just want to keep it for books. He continues to get commission pieces. Just he has a TikTok, so if you check him out on his TikTok, you can find him there with just his art. We don't necessarily, he's not on there doing any of the dances or anything like that. We just post his art, how he draws characters from start to finish to show his process, add some music behind it, and that's something fun. He enjoys watching it and he gets thousands of views. So if anyone out there has TikTok, check out TikTok. It's at J to the air, and that's the letter J, the number 2, the air. J2 THEHEIR. And that's Jay Delano on TikTok, where you can see his creations from start to finish with a little music behind it. So share that, and you never know. His dream is he wants to be an artist. He doesn't want to just be an artist. Of course, he wants to be a famous artist. And I love to hear him and his ideas. And this is the calendars getting back to healing, right? And in us getting back to healing, I see every day I come downstairs and I say to myself, wow, this is everything I dreamed about. Not worrying about the budget for the month. And I mean, like, as far as work, my responsibilities. And I just didn't realize how stressed I was at work, and it was stifling my creation. It wasn't allowing me to grow in my gift that God had given me. And me being the head of my household, growing in my gift and seeing me happy and flourishing gives my family the opportunity to feed off of my positivity and my energy. And that's just where we are as a family. Jax is happy and settled in this amazing school. My wife is happy. She had some things that she was dealing with, and Virginia allows her to parent in peace and not pieces. There was definitely parts of my wife that was broken, but you guys never see that. You only see my pain, but there's she has her things as well, and she carried them so well, and she just kind of like put them to the back and supported me in so much and everything I did. So sometimes getting back to healing is supporting other people in their things, and that's what that is. I'm just happy that she's at a space where her mind can be clear, and she can again focus on her passion in real estate and creating. She wants to create. She likes to create, and I'm excited about a book that we have coming out. Yeah, and it's sometimes I have to pause. At some time, I have to pause and take it all in. Like, get back to healing. So, if it's not working, then stop doing it. Things might, you might think you're happy, but you gotta sometimes, like, because you get in a rut. I see people in ruts. And when I mean ruts, you don't realize you're in a rut because you're doing things that seems like you were just supposed to do. Like, people say that the thing was, what we're told growing up is, first come love, then come marriage, and then comes the baby, and you have this fantastic career. What if that's not your direction? What if that's not what you're happy doing? So what are you supposed to do? Do what makes you happy. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable. And if you're miserable in the midst of misery and experience of loss, that's compounded grief. And it's hell trying to get from under compounded grief. And so people go to work I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but it become, for me, it was repetitive. Go to work, make money, like dinner. There's 7 days in a week, so people with money, like that's financially comfortable, they know if you're not too frugal, you'll probably eat out about 3 times a week. So you go to work, eat out, eat dinner, you vacation twice a year, you buy nice clothes, you have a nice car, you have a nice house, and then you do that year after year. There's some people I see on social media, and I'm not saying that they're not happy. That's, please don't take that from what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're not happy. That's some people think, but that's also, it's a hamster wheel. Like you doing the same things over and over and over and over again, and just in a new outfit. Like, so where are you utilizing? Somewhere inside of you is a gift that God gave you to share with the world that you buried for the hamster wheel. And I just didn't want to be on the hamster wheel anymore. I got tired of being hit with these losses and not being able to offload them somewhere and to get back to healing. And so I think, and that's internally as well. So, and for me, that again, for me and for me in my household, that was coming to the water, man, the beach, where sometimes, excuse me, Sunday we were coming in the house from a barbecue, and Jax randomly said, "Mommy, let's go to the beach." I said, "Let's go." He said, "But you don't have on a beach shirt." So he made me go. He made us swing by the house, and we played. I never thought that I would spend my evenings on the beach playing frisbee with my son or laying in my wife's lap while he buries his toys in the sand. My wife literally has a blanket that she keeps in the back of the truck in case we're just coming from somewhere and they say, "Hey, let's swing by the beach." Or some mornings I drop them off at school. If I don't have a work call to go to that day, I just swing by the beach and I just inhale and exhale it. The air is different. The air is different. And I'm not going to beat y'all in the head too much. I just want y'all to remember to heal, to get back to healing. And healing is more than going to church. It's more than going to a therapist. It's changing. What did I say that was? What was that gem I dropped? The backdrop for bouncing back. Right? Because I'm telling y'all, you have to um, make sure you have a backdrop for bouncing back. We used to growing up in Newark, right? When we used to go downtown and take pictures, and there was always you had to had your clothes had to be right. You had to have the perfect backdrop for your picture. That's what healing is. And besides internally being okay, you have to have the perfect physical backdrop for bouncing back. Okay. And so for season 2 for the More Sugar podcast is going to be back to healing. I'm going to talk to some friends. We're going to the beach house in a couple of weeks. I promise to get some interviews. We're going to talk to some friends and see what journey everyone's on back to healing. We just coming out of COVID, going into monkeypox. So everyone has a lot going on, right? And the world is trying to get back to same. Politics is still crazy. There's no water in Mississippi. People can't afford gas. It's a lot going on, and we constantly have to remind ourselves to get off this hamster wheel and get back to healing. So again, y'all tune into, I have the More Sugar podcast YouTube. So tune into that, and thank you for listening. Until next time. Peace.